Hello everyone, it's Mitch from SHOCKMOUTHS with a new news video. Today we're going to be going over an update about the Illuminati drama, but before we get into that, tech YouTuber QuantumTVTech was arrested days ago, charged with a first-degree felony. But for those who don't know who QuantumTVTech is, he's a tech YouTuber who reviews televisions and has a fascination with getting the perfect picture setting for your TV, and despite having the personality of a recycled cardboard box, has amassed over 84,000 subscribers.
These images, I only see really two that I kind of like. I don't like the whole washed out sky look, so we're going to go to the next one. Now they're going to ask about mountains and me.
Now, normal people when they buy a TV don't fuss too much over the picture settings, they just want to know how to plug it in and set it all up, but Quantum TV cares. And another thing that normal people do is avoid being arrested on domestic violence charges, but you guessed it, Quantum TV, he is not like the normal people and has been arrested on domestic violence charges. Now, these charges, according to the public record, fall under 914.22E, which is displayed there on the screen, and it seems as though he's been arrested for preventing the communication to a law enforcement officer. The incident he has been charged with occurred on April 14th of this year, where allegedly prevented his wife from contacting police by snatching her phone away from her, as well as attempting to move funds from her bank account with the phone. She also allegedly suffered lacerations to her hands during the process. If convicted under Florida law for the first-degree felony of witness tampering, he could face up to 30 years in prison, or 30 years probation, or up to $10,000 in fines. But if I was a betting man, I would be betting that he won't be facing the maximum penalty, as his wife refused to sign a sworn written statement in the domestic violence paperwork. He was also released on a bond of $500 and has since uploaded to his channel as early as yesterday.
Immediately I want that one.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're new around here, make sure to consider subscribing. Also making the rounds, we have an update about the Illuminati drama we talked about last week. Not only has she deleted the tweets in which she was accusing Legal Eagle's editors of plagiarism, but people have come forward since our last video tweeting about what it was like working with Illuminati on a collab channel called Sad Milk. First up, we have The Click. I have seen the recent drama regarding Illuminati, and would like to clarify I am not affiliated with her and haven't been for over 2 years. I left her and her collaboration group Sad Milk due to similar behavior as seen in the recent events. Lashing out at friends and fans, paranoia, and generally poor anger management, to name a few. Eventually, I believe pretty much the whole group left her. The last meeting I ever had with her, she spent half an hour, I think hard to know, screaming at me for an array of random things, calling me a bad friend, lazy, and a bunch of random accusations that didn't really have anything to do with me. I left along with several other members, half the group at the time. She spent the next few months spreading lies and half-truths about us on the Sad Milk Reddit page and vague post on Twitter. I still have all the screenshots. She would turn friends against you or specifically team up with people she knew didn't like you, so she had allies against you, rallying mainly banned problematic community members known to be liars and conflict seekers. When people started questioning that maybe she was the reason everyone left, there was a very convenient updigging of 11 to 14-year-old videos of me. Stuff I made back when I started my channel in 2009 when I was a teenager. And as you can probably guess, some of the jokes from that time age like milk. I publicly owned up to my past mistakes and apologized, doing my best to be transparent and honest about my past. She would still harp on it, ignoring the fact that it had already been addressed, trying to direct as much attention to it as possible, publicly stating it was a bad apology, along with vague posting about it in the comments on the collaboration channel. Maybe in an attempt to get people to assume I had been kicked out for poor behavior rather than leave because of her own behavior. She, assuming it was her as she had her channel access, also liked to pull what I can only describe as petty acts of revenge. Oh boy, that sounds familiar. For example, some people left comments on the collaboration channel saying, "Good that click left." They obviously got ratioed hard as people were there for the creators. She would manually go in and delete the ratioing comments but leave the original hate comment. She tried to gain control of my Discord when it surpassed hers too, by tossing around accusations at staff and trying to get rid of my team and replacing it with hers, giving me the ultimatum to fire my entire senior team or be publicly fired from Sad Milk myself. I was still a YouTube freshie at the time, and she was quite intimidating, claiming connections and clout, reputation and powerful friends, so everyone stayed mostly silent and had to constantly look over our shoulders for the next year. None of us even mentioning the whole thing. We were even worried talking in our own discords, as it became apparent she had spies. We were just hoping we wouldn't have our reputation completely destroyed for simply walking away. This is just a brief summary of events. It's sad to see that she hasn't changed. Then we have Wonder, who says, a sad milk thread. After being threatened with a breach for speaking out, I can confirm that the behavior Blair exhibits is entirely accurate here. I'm aware of the bridges I burned and I remain where I am. After Sad Milk split, it was a constant negative echo chamber that I took part in. Regardless, I used to edit for Sad Milk. Blair made no effort to take direction. She made everything about herself. Sad Milk at the time was the nearest thing to family I had, which sounds pathetic, but the content creator space is a very isolating one. The amount of hours I'd spend online making drafts, editor tutorials for new hires, staying up trying to get some editing in if editors were short-handed. I missed Christmas with my brother and father fixing the mistake of the editor she hired, and I didn't even get a thank you, and it took me more than half a month to even get paid. Meanwhile, she delays payments to editors so she can purchase expensive clothes, visit BMW dealerships, and spend hundreds on food in a day. While I do hold my beliefs towards certain matters, every month or so there was a new villain of the week, and they would one second be a normal person in our lives, and the next second suddenly a hidden monster through, you guessed it, Blair's mouth. To say Sad Milk split on creative differences is a joke. It's a flat-out lie. Again, I'm aware of the bridges burned, but I can confirm that a call took place where she screamed, cursed, and had a meltdown towards Click and one topic. It was a train wreck. It was just supposed to be a fun group project, and we had become profitable, even to a small extent. Blair wanted creative lead, and we went from doing fun creative topics, more in line with the Reddit we would all cover on our own channels, to doing unenthusiastic view content. Blair took control and wouldn't listen to how the videos should be made, so we got hyper loud music with childlike sprites paired with adult humor, which just made being part of Sad Milk humiliating. My friends and I would watch Sad Milk and laugh, not at the content, but how awful it had become. Not due to anyone not being entertaining, but the lack of quality control. It was an editorial nightmare. It's why in part I stopped editing, because my really well-made content got roped into that by proxy. Blair did not care. It was hers, and anyone who dared to try and take the reins was a threat. After Click and OT and Salty left, I did almost all of the heavy lifting, which is a thankless job for being a small on the internet. I tried making us schedules. I motivated Blair during another mental breakdown of hers to not delete the channel or the Discord since I actively read through the comments on both, and we had people who we mattered to. After months of behind-the-scenes insults towards Click and OT, it became so stale and negative. Yeah, we all took part, but after it going on so long, it just became day after day. Blair would sit and check Click and OT's social blade. She would make fake accounts to stalk them. Not just them, but a large portion of the commentary community. I've personally seen her try to get her lawyer to shut down anyone who says anything against her, and they ruined her day by saying, yeah, we can't really do anything. It's insane. It's insane. Innocent people don't work so hard to try and silence others. We would get no work done. I can't count how many times I pleaded and set up meetings for us to do something, and nobody cared. I thought I had a friend who was hurting. Then I saw I had moved to villain. And like everyone else, I got shut out, trash talked, and the people I had made efforts to be friends with wouldn't even acknowledge my existence. For me though, I had already moved states under good faith. I was bettering my life. In 30 days of living with Blair, it was a nightmare. I felt like I was trapped in her home always. So my therapist, who she accuses me of stealing because she recommended, suggested I leave that house at all costs, and I did. And the details I can't get into further due to legalities, but I ended up with no car, hardly any clothes, and money to my name, and no home. Now working full-time again, I had no time for my channel. I had cried, bled, and worked through hell to get up. So I watched it die since my main concern now was just food on my table. All because I made friends with one of the most vile people on the platform. Nobody wanted to talk with me, and I was too afraid to fully go public as I didn't know the reach this massive creator had. I had everything IRL and online taken from me. She personally threw my YouTube play button in the trash. If that wasn't symbolic, man, I don't know what is. Holy shit, she threw it in the bin. What kind of sick fuck does that to somebody? I've spent the last 2 years of my life rebuilding from the ground up due to this woman. The only difference as I get to come back stronger as a person. She doesn't. She can't take that away from everyone. She is screwed over. Blair, you can't hide anymore. Sooner or later, you were going to push everyone who cared about you away, and you'd realize the world isn't out to get you. But you made your fears a reality all on your own. I'm not afraid of you. You don't get that from me anymore. Never again. He then apologizes for how long the thread is and wishes everyone a good day. Oz Media says, I think it's time that I actually speak out on the current Twitter threads regarding sad milk in 2020 and 2021. I cannot express how scared I am to do this, the fear I have in my gut to even speak out. However, I do feel it's important to say my piece on this subject matter. Yes, it's a mess, but the tweet threads posted by Wonder and Click and what they have stated about sad milk is the truth. The whole project was a mess from start to finish. Blair, I'm sorry, but you have hurt me. I need to speak without being told by you, oh, I'm just a villain, I'm always in the wrong, or something along of those lines. Words I have heard from you consistently. I want to be heard for once. I need to clear my mind and conscience after holding this for 2 years. Forgive me, but it's what needs to be done. When looking at the whole of the project, it was mostly controlled and run by Blair. Her main worry was that because of her, in her words, lack of personality, she felt as though her contribution to sad milk needed to be managerial bureaucracy behind the scenes to justify her presence. Well, at least Blair was honest in that she has a shitty personality or doesn't have a personality at all. This led to a defensive approach when anyone would attempt to assist with the nitty-gritty behind the scenes, despite her claiming that no one wanted to help her. One of the factors she claims to be the final nail in the coffin of sad milk. Blair was indeed the aggressor. She always has been. As an example of this behavior, look at their legal eagle situation. Blair has the habit of starting fights, but will almost never publicly apologize if proven wrong. She'll instead hide behind a private apology probably, and from my perspective, act as though this makes everything all better. After all, she would express to me that admitting error would only make her look stupid and weak. This will be followed by her blocking people on Twitter, silencing her detractors through YouTube channel bans, deleting comments, and putting her accounts on the down low to prevent interaction. For example, on Sad Milk, she would blacklist former collaborators from being mentioned, but manually approve hateful comments towards them, which in my opinion were specifically ones which instead praised her or the remaining members, including me. This is her MO. It has been for the 4 years that I've known her. It actually perfectly ties into how we first met and began to be on speaking terms in April of 2019. Sad Milk was very much like this. At the first sign of dissonance, her response was to have me confront OT and Click with this list of talking points in an attempt to show them just how wrong they were, which I accepted. This brings me to, well, me. What is missing from both Click and Wonder's threads is that fact that I acted as Blair's frontrunner. Anything Blair needed to say went through me first, essentially act as a spokesman. This was actually a common factor in our relationship. I would always act as a filter to keep her out of the drama, or from saying things which would be seen as offensive or kindle for a larger fire. I stopped doing this in January. This does not excuse me from protecting her for this long, but it is the truth. I could take the approach and say I was manipulated, which perhaps I was, but I still knew that what I was doing was wrong. I always did, and it always hurt. It left a huge black mark on my spirit and my ability to feel comfortable in my own skin. I'd moved to Colorado, got a house, and lived with her at that time. She was in my life every day, and I would hear these theories and villainous explanations directed at anyone who wronged her. It was hard to avoid, let alone not fall for them. I believed it was my responsibility to protect my friend from something that, in my view, was clearly hurting her, something that I felt was eating at her and making her daily life worse. Things which in hindsight could have been solved with a conversation, but she was unwilling. Instead, the conspiring, backstabbing, and rumor machine were put into full swing. I, much as Wonder and Salty, were forced by Blair to choose between her or Click and OT. Of course, I chose the person I lived with. What was I going to do, move again? I mean, I could have. Once I chose my side, I was met with praise and adoration from her and her mod staff. It, at the time, felt like I was making the right decision. Fuck man, boy was I wrong. I've lost so many friends, isolated myself, been at her side despite feeling like my connections to the world were being severed. I always acted as her talking piece, from yelling at one topic to berating Click and other things I did in service of someone who at the time I believed every word of. I trusted Blair to hell and back, and I thought I was doing good. I have learned since then, through both self-reflection and conversations with old friends, just how much I was, unintentionally hopefully, used. There of course is more, much more. More than I could ever hope to cram into this stupid fucking Twitter thread that I know I'm going to get angry DMs and phone calls about. Blair, I need you to know that you hurt me, more than you realize. I know you're scanning this and having your team read over it, maybe even looking at sending me a legal threat as you parade around to do so, but I want you to apologize for once in your life and take accountability. Please, Blair, you would rather paint the world red than admit you have fault. So yeah, that was all around kind of fucked up. I can't believe she threw that play button in the bin. Holy shit. Just a reminder that Core and Matt Pitt from Now Recording have conducted a deep dive into Illuminati with interviews, and it's due to be released soon over on the Now Recording channel, so go sub to that, and as always, I will update in the comments when that gets released, and have a good one. Also making the rounds, we have an update about the Illuminati. I can't say Illuminati.